That fucking
Good.
6,000.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Luke. I'm joined tonight by Smarty and Matt because Jay is an idle person and couldn't make it. We're going to have a bit of a chat about the game, but before we do, hit it, Matt. Yeah, good evening, everybody. Welcome to whose is that phone?
Not me.
James. Fucking hell. First game at Ellen Road this season and you've already fucking had your phone. Oh my God. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We've obviously got a fair bit to talk about after today's game. But what I want to start is you two lucky lads were lucky enough to be there. So I think we'll probably start with the atmosphere build up to kick off. What were it like? Obviously, I couldn't be there. I've got kids and various other priorities, shall we say? I know Leeds United is probably the priority, but two girls probably have to fit in there somewhere sensibly. So yeah, what it Smarty? What was the build up like? Was it as electric as probably it sounded on the telly?
It was very wet.
It was very wet.
It was very wet to start on. It went on and off. I kind of gambled with it. I got absolutely piss wet through, but fuck it. I had the old turnstile anxiety issues as well. Fucking hell. As most people do, like, please don't fuck up. But no, brilliant. Really, really good. So glad to be back. I mean, I don't normally get into the stadium until literally a few minutes before kick-off normally, but I were in there a good 20 minutes or so before, and just to kind of all soak it up and stuff, and it was fantastic. Everyone was singing, everyone were having a good time, fucking beer throwing all everywhere. It was great. No, it was really great. I mugged a couple of young Leeds fans for a few more flags as well.
Nice. Nice.
The dad wasn't happy, but fuck him, he got a swift headbutt.
And you don't want to headbutt him with that head.
No, you don't want to fucking get one off this loaf. No, brilliant. No, cracking. Really, really good. Really enjoyed the whole thing. Everything.
Yeah, it was nice touch, wasn't it, Gilly, when they started putting the names out in the video of all the legends, but not only the legends, people close to the club and its fans as well. Was it quite emotional, do you think, being back in there for the first time in sort of 18 months?
I mean, so I was there with Bren, and the point at which, so we were in there, and we got there a bit earlier because it was siling it down, and we were in Peacock, but we were out back, and all cover were taken. You couldn't get under cover, and he was absolutely smashing it down. So we said, let's go across stadium because it'll be quite quiet at a minute. We'll be able to get a beer and we'll be able to get inside, but the gates won't open. So we just stood there, just getting absolutely piss wet through. But there were two standout moments before kickoff. The first one was just going up them stairs and just coming out into the stadium. It was just hair on back, neck, and just everything. So just walking into that.
I just said neck because it wasn't your head.
Just hair on your back.
On back of your neck. But then
on your head.
But then Strings for Yasmin. And like Bren was sat just behind me. So I went in wrong seat and he was kind of over there just behind me. I should have been sat in front of him. And Strings for Yasmin came on and we both just looked at each other and winked because it was just that you could feel that and there was like this upswell of emotion in stadium. It was fantastic. I mean, it was brilliant. Yeah. And I also have myself a flag.
You can't see your flags because you've got green screen now.
Just a couple of flag wankers, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I watched it on telly. I've just driven back from up north. I've been at a wedding this weekend, and then I had to come back for the girls, and I literally left it to the last fucking minute. I was listening on TalkSport 2 to the build-up, and all you could hear was the Leeds fans singing, and this was probably up to about. I got back at like 5 minutes to 3. So literally the noise inside the stadium just sounded absolutely fucking deafening. I don't know if it was as loud while you were in there, but it was just so fucking loud. It was was it loud? Was it any louder than normal, would you say? Obviously we've got to think back, but it's obviously
I wouldn't say louder than normal. It's genuinely quite loud. The loudest that sticks out in my memory most recently is probably at West Brom game where we beat them 4-1. That was loud. I've been to a few loud games, but my ears were ringing when I got back to the car.
Yeah.
Whether I'm developing tinnitus or whatever, I don't know. But it will loud, and my ears were ringing. It is. I'm an old man. I'm an old man now.
Yeah, wicked. Right then, well, I suppose we'll start with we'll get into the game. We'll start talking a little bit about the first half. I put a tweet out at half time just asking how it went, and the majority, I would say, of fans who responded in some sense were relatively positive at half time. It went other than the penalty we gave away, which was a cynical error and a daft mistake on Captain Cooper's part. We didn't look that bad. We looked completely different side to the side that started against Scum last week, don't you think, Gilly?
Well, I think we did. I think that the pace of the game, I thought, we were struggling a little bit because every single time the ball went out, they would try to slow it down. I think their keeper did get booked in second half for time wasting. He was certainly being told off throughout the game, but they were slowing. I mean, it was difficult to play against them because they're such a cynical side. There were a lot of rolling around. There were a lot of diving. I mean, when you've got your big centre half that takes a dive and starts whinging when there's not really much going on, it left a bad taste in mouth, and you could see it was quite difficult for Leeds to get going. I know it's early in the season and all of that, but it looked. Some of them, like Calvin, did look quite leggy. And we kind of did struggle to get going. I think in patches they were in the game, but not really. It felt, obviously it's different when you're watching on telly to in the stand because there's a lot of emotion going on anyway, and there's a lot of noise and what have you. So it's sometimes it's easy to misconstrue it, but it felt like we were on top for large stretches without really hurting them.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah, I think, as I said, it was slightly. It's always different watching on telly to watching live because you get the advantage of those replays, and you get a little bit more of a sort of a bird's eye view of everything that's going on, whereas you only seem to see where you sat from, and you only see it once when you're in the stadium. I think when you both probably watch if you do get to watch the full game back, or at least the highlights, you'll probably admit that we were so quick out the blocks in comparison to against the Scum. We didn't look as, I think probably shocked is probably the best way. We were almost in shock last week. It's the start of the fucking Premier League, new season. We're playing Scum first game. Do you know what I mean? Everyone was almost over. What's the best way? Not anxious, but excited, maybe a bit overexcited with the occasion. So, but yeah, no, it looked completely different side. Moved it around well. Come to you then, Smarty. Talk to me about the penalty and how you saw it, certainly live while you were there.
Well, we're a long way away from where I was at because I'm in South Stand. So I didn't see it as clearly. From where I looked, it looked like he just like fell over. But obviously, I hadn't seen it back. I hadn't seen any replays. We've been at game, come back home, and we've obviously jumped straight on here. So I don't know. You probably be the best one to see what your opinions are of it. But that's the thing. Usually, you get a good view of the screen at where I'm sat in South Stand, and for some reason, while it says VAR checking penalty or this and the other, it gave you right at the end a bit of a flash, and it didn't look. It looked very, very soft, but obviously they slow it down and everything, don't they? So I don't know. But it looked a bit soft, but it doesn't matter whether it's soft or not. Is it if there's touch, if there's contact or whatever?
I think the words that the commentator used were contact with consequence. So, as part of that contact, did that stop Dominic Calvert-Lewin getting his head to the ball, which it did. I mean, it did. It was a penalty. However, if you look when you see it back later, the actual during the exchange, Calvert-Lewin's actually got hold of Cooper as well. But he shouldn't have pulled him back. It was cynical, and it probably was a penalty. And I think, would Calvert-Lewin got to it and probably got a header on goal? Yeah. Would he have scored? We'll never know. But I think probably long and short is from my perspective it probably was a penalty.
Yeah, I mean you look. I mean attacking the forwards are going to look for it. Any sort of edge that you can gain, against your defenders. Alan Smith were a fucker for it. He used to literally pull on the opposition shirt. I remember watching him, when I was a young lad. He'd pull on the opposition shirt as if he were being dragged down. They try and get away with everything, don't they? So he's going to do his best to try and get that edge and win a penalty in essence. So fair fucks to him, but he's still a cheating bastard.
Completely agree.
In terms of the altercation. So I were looking at Calvert-Lewin when he went down, and it didn't look like there were any contact at the point he went down. It looked like there were quite a break between any contact and then him going down. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it back. Right. But Cooper almost admits to it by taking his hands off him and putting his hands in the air.
Yeah.
Which obviously draws attention to it. There was contact. He's got hold of him. He stopped him moving from the mark, but it's only when Calvert-Lewin's realised that he's not going to get to it anymore that he throws himself on the floor, which, intelligence, look at it however you want, cheating, whatever.
I think the other side to it, though, is that the game had played on, and was it Click that was down? Dallas was down injured, and hurt. Was that when Click did his arm or his hand or something?
Yeah. I'm not sure when
the game stopped, and it was like a minute or two later that he went, "Oh, I'm going to go have a look at VAR." So actually, we'd have played on, and the opportunity to even look at it would have been gone had we not been. I mean, that's just another thing to get frustrated about as a fan more than anything else. Can't legislate for that, but it just seemed like everything came together in terms of a bit of bad luck on that bit.
Yeah, no, I think you're quite right. I mean, luckily Click got back up, and then that led to the second goal not much later. I think we seem to have lost Smarty for a second, but I'm sure he'll be back. So I'll come to you, Gilly. I know it looked on the telly, but how did it look to you on? It was a great passage of play, but how did it come across? And what was that? What was celebrating that first goal? How did it feel?
I've never met either of the guys that were on either side of me, and they both gave me just a massive hug. And then I had Bren behind me shaking my it's one of them. So we were in the ticket that I bought was the ticket exchange, where a season ticket holder's not able to make the game, and then it goes back to the club. So I was surrounded, I think, by season ticket holders. So they all kind of seemed to know each other. There were a lot of early on in the game. There were a lot of I haven't seen you for ages. How's your old man and all of that stuff. And the guy like 2 down from me was saying, "Oh yeah, he's busy today. That's why I brought Youngin," and all of that. And you could see these people that don't know each other other than that match day experience that they were just so pleased to see each other. And I think that it was nice to see, even though I kind of didn't feel part of it because I didn't know anyone because I'm not a regular in those seats. So the emotion that I felt, I kind of shared with these people that have gone through a lot of emotion themselves anyway on match days. But I mean, I can't really remember the 2-3 minutes after it. It was just gone.
Bit of a blur. I mean, it was some finish from Click and a great assist from Paddy Bamford, wasn't it, who put him through. Wow. But it was almost the perfect Premier League goal, wasn't it? When you watch it back, there's just a build-up play. It was a bit of a counter attack. It was class, and to watch it on replay, I obviously had the pleasure of being able to watch it back 2 or 3, 4 times, which you didn't get to have when you're in the stadium when you piss wet through. But just to tie up that first half, then obviously a couple of Everton players spent quite a lot of time rolling about on the floor, trying to, as you said rightly so, Matt, that they were trying to slow us down. They know we play with high intensity, with quick build up play, and one of Rafa Benitez's obvious tactics today was to try and slow that down. Richarlison and Mina disgrace, to be honest, for the majority of that first 40 minutes. In fact, the 90 minutes I'd go as far as saying. Did that come across to you, Smart? Were they the only two?
Oh, I would say so. I'd say they were the two main candidates for it, throwing himself around. You probably didn't see it off on TV and stuff, but off camera, Richarlison were in the ref's ear constantly screaming at him, always, and you just thought, will you shut the fuck up? Yeah, it were obvious. I mean, I never saw any of our play. I mean, obviously, with a couple of tackles, I think Calvin made a fantastic tackle and got a it won't booked, but obviously it was a free kick, and obviously there were a bit of a hoo ha and all that sort of stuff. But as far as throughout the game and all that sort of stuff and letting it flow, I thought the ref had a good game, but it was constantly being badgered by Everton players, mainly Richarlison, I think.
So do you think it was a fair scoreline going in at half time, or do you think we should have been up? Or
I think, like with Arts Pack, to what you've already spoken about, I think in spells they did have some good possession, and they seemed to use it rather well. I mean, they've got a good crop of players. We seem to dominate them more. However, whenever they did have the ball, they seemed to use it well. Mainly, a big punt from Pickford. It seemed to fail towards the end of the game. In second half, especially, that big punt up front just did nothing for them. And mainly just went wasted. But no.
Yeah, moving into the second half. Then we obviously started quite brightly again, full of confidence. They had a good spell, and somehow that the shot from Demarai Gray managed to get in that far corner. I have no idea still to this fucking moment how that's. I think it's gone through two Leeds players and I think it was Ayling and Stroik who it's gone through, and it's actually managed to creep in. I don't know if Mesley has seen it late or whatever, but we'll come on to Mesley. I thought he had a cracking game. He made some really important saves. Didn't really do much wrong for me, Gilly. Would you have anything to say other than that? I don't think there's a couple of wayward passes, but I think all in all.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think there were a couple of times, especially in second half and towards the end. So casting my mind back, I think there were one that just kind of squeezed past the post that had taken a deflection, and that was the only time that I ever felt like there was an opportunity where we might get beaten. It just looked like so. There were a couple of corners. I've got to say their set pieces were pretty good. They were just far enough away from him to tempt him to kind of half start coming and then stay without that being close enough for him to come and do anything about them. So, they did pretty well with them. There wasn't a lot he could do about that. And I think that his shot stopping and there were one that spilled off him. But then, he's got that in him where he's so fast to get back up again and to react to that he was on top of it before it could become an issue. I thought he played well.
Yeah, totally agree. I think their goal was. I mean, it was if Demarai Gray hits that ball 9 times out of 10 he probably misses, or there's a block, or there's a save from the angle and everything. I just think it was. I mean, there was a lot of luck involved. Great finish, but I think there was quite a lot of luck involved. Then obviously, I don't know if you guys heard it, but the Everton fans were singing "He's Brazilian" about. I don't know if it was about Alan or Richarlison, and then 2 minutes later, Raf buried that his goal as well. Did you hear that, Smart, in the stadium?
No. The only time we ever heard the Everton fans were after their second goal, and we kind of like dwindled a little bit. But I didn't hear that chanting. Didn't hear it.
No.
It was that loud in the stadium. I couldn't hear. I could not hear. And I really did strain to hear, try and listen to him as well. And it was like, obviously, fucking what you saying, fuck off, all that sort of shit. But I couldn't hear him. I could not hear him.
It's after 6 o'clock. It's almost 7.
Not past the watershed just yet. But no, I didn't hear it. We gave them a lot of shit though. But yeah, they we were obviously you only sing when you win and stuff. And as soon as obviously we equalised, and that was it. Just shut up. Didn't hear a peep from them after that. Yeah. So
there were a couple of chances, Gilly. I thought we probably could have nicked it and taken all 3 points. I don't think a draw all in all was an unfair result for both sides. But I think Everton fans will probably look at it somewhat differently. But I think we had enough opportunities where the game had opened up, where the legs were getting a little bit tired from an Everton perspective, and we were breaking, and there was just that wrong ball and Tyler Roberts just overhit a couple. Another thing I'd like to mention, actually, Tyler Roberts came on, actually played quite well and gave us an additional dynamic and a different option, which he hasn't done probably previously, to his doubters, certainly.
I think that he's got a tendency to overplay. and I think he's so desperate to prove that he's there on merit that he does overplay it, and there might be a simpler ball on, and he'll take a more, he'll try to beat a man again or what have you, and he'll end up with two men on him in corner and having beaten both of them, but they're still there between him and the goal. He showed some good touches. He looked decent on ball. I thought he did all right. He didn't do himself any harm at all. Just going back to your other point about the chances, I think there were at least two that I remember Rafinha having that were blocked. You can't tell from the stands whether they were on target or not, but they were shifting. He hit him well. We were there, and I think one was just inside the box, one was just outside the box. So he does. It's the first time I've watched him live. He does impress me. He looks brilliant. I thought, to be honest, Harrison had a decent game. I know he's had a lot of detractors. There were one period where they just could not get the ball off him, and he must have beaten 4 or 5 men. Now it were all half touches, and has he lost it? No, he hasn't. He's kept it, and then he's beaten another man. He never looked in control of the ball during that little passage of play, but at the same time, he had 5 men around him and didn't lose it. But so there were some chances towards the end where we could have taken it. I felt that we were good enough for 3 points. If you're an Everton fan coming out of that, you might be thinking we've just done enough to deserve a draw. But I was coming out of it thinking we've probably done just enough to earn a win out of that. Yeah,
fair, definitely a fair point. I think either team could have stolen it. Happy with the point, or all in all. But yeah, it was good. It's good to come out of a game where you're not overly frustrated with only getting a point. You know what I mean? I think coming from behind twice is always a nice feeling as well, because I think something we've probably struggled with historically is when we do go behind is having that additional dynamic and that additional oomph to get us back in the game. Sometimes we sort of overplay and sometimes go more than one down, and it makes it even a lot more difficult. But what I want to do just quickly is just fly through and talk about each player individually, give them a quick score between us, and we'll take an average. So we'll start with Meslier and Matt. What would you give Meslier out of 10?
Like I said, I don't think he did much wrong. He didn't really command his box. But again, as I said, I thought the set pieces were decent. So maybe a 7 for me.
Yeah, Smart, would you agree with that, or would you go higher?
Yeah, I was going with 7.5. So yeah, I'll agree with 7.
I'll go with a 7-2 from Meslier. We'll start with the left back, Junior Firpo, obviously subbed off for Jamie Shack later on. How would you rate his performance today, Smart? Obviously, his home debut. And obviously it's difficult, isn't it? Because he's not been with the club that long. He's starting. He's coming. He's replaced, if you want, Alioski. So yeah, how would you rate Firpo's performance out of 10?
I think as far as your home debut is concerned, I think it was a fairly steady one. Nothing to shout home about, but no issues really. He had a couple of nice interchanges with Harrison and seemed quite comfortable. Never panicked with ball or anything like that. So again, if I were to score him, I'd probably give him a 7 as well. I think he had a fairly steady day.
What you were saying, Matt?
I thought he looked strong. He looks good. I didn't think that it was the best debut I've ever seen. I might go 6.5, but I won't be too dissatisfied with us agreeing on a 7.
Yeah, I'm going to say 6.5 as well, just because I don't think he was as good as Meslier. And if we're giving Meslier a 7, I don't think Firpo probably deserves to be getting the same score. So if we go with 6.5 for Firpo. Then we got Captain Cooper, obviously made quite a cynical mistake, but he also, having watched the game, which Jay didn't seem to do, I think he spent most of his time checking his bets. For some lad with football knowledge extraordinaire, he spends a lot of his time in Ellen Road on his phone. So yeah, I'm going to start with Captain Cooper. I think he was as important today as Meslier, and I'm going to equal him and give Cooper a 7 as well. Although he made quite a cynical mistake, he obviously assisted Raf's goal, good awareness to pop it back, but also made some real crucial interceptions. But I suppose you only see what you want to see. If you don't like Cooper and you've got you that way out, you're probably going to see the mistakes in him rather than the positives. So, go to you, Smarty. What are you going to give Captain Coops?
Well, as we all know, I've always sung Liam Cooper's praises on this podcast. Fuck Jay. Like you say, apart from that, apart from giving the penalty away, I thought it were a fairly steady performance from Liam. I think, it is. He's got this tag League One Liam, and I don't think he'll ever shake that. Especially when he's playing at Prem. But like you say, a couple of good blocks, good tackles. He commanded his area well. Or the area that he was playing in alongside Struik. So no, I thought he had a fairly decent. When you really like delve into it and stuff like that, we didn't really see that much of him, pushing forward. There were a lot of long shots. I don't think he had too much to do. It wasn't like playing against Scum last weekend. But no, I think 6. I'll give him a 6. I think. I don't think we're up to write home about. But if we give him Meslier a 7. And that's what we're basing that on. Then I think 6 is fair for Cooper.
Gilly, what have you got to say about the skipper?
9.5. It'd be a 10 if it wasn't for penalty. No, if you look on paper and you think of how highly Calvert-Lewin is rated, and then you think how well he plays when the ball's in the air, and the fact that they did hit quite a few long balls, you might think actually. Struik's not picking Calvert-Lewin up. Struik might be our best centre half in the air. He's a bit of a beast in the air. So it was strange actually that he focused more on picking up Richarlison and Cooper had Calvert-Lewin. I thought he handled him really well, to be honest. I would be arguing up from a 7 if it hadn't been for your take on the penalty, which I've not seen back. So I'll go with that based on that. I thought he was all round an okay performance. I thought he did quite well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I agree. But like I say, he did give away a penalty. So
majority rules there. I think we're going to go with a 7 for the skipper as well. Then we'll move across. Pascal Struik. Tell me what you thought of his performance in Gilly today, Pascal's, because I obviously saw a little bit more of sort of different angles and things, but yeah, what did you make? I'll hear what you've got to say about him first, before I sort of chip in.
I didn't think it was one of his best games. I thought in the first half there were a few times when he looked shaky and not quite as commanding as we've seen him be. And I did wonder if that was a factor of he's picking up somebody that's a bit more mobile. He struggled to use his strength against him because he were on floor every time there were any kind of contact between them. And when you know that somebody's played the game for a bit longer, and there's the old Manning type thing, using experience, using your body well, and that sort of thing. I felt he struggled a bit with that. Again, didn't do much wrong, but struggled to handle somebody that played against him a certain way that didn't play to his strengths.
Yeah, and I think that I think you're quite right. I think that comes with experience, and I think we might have got that slightly wrong. I would have been tempted to play Cooper on Richarlison and Struik on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. However, I mean, we still came away with points. So what score are you going to give Struik?
I'd go 6.5 there.
Smarty, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'll agree with 6.5.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same take as I had, Matt. To be fair, he lacks that sort of football knowledge. Fucking
soccer.
I'm not calling it soccer.
American.
Fuck this. I'm off.
Fucking yank.
All right, Luke. It could be worse. Could he, Smarty?
Yeah. No, but I think I
love soccer.
Soccer ball. I think he like that little bit of a footballing brain which he'll probably pick up with experience. Still a young lad, still a young kid. 6.5 I'll go with as well. Moving across again, Luke Ayling. Average by Luke Ayling today. I think he just doesn't have the same conviction playing as part of the 3 at centre back as what he does as right back. I don't think he's not a centre back, and I think he was very bang average today. I'm going to give him a 6. I don't know if anybody else has got any much more to say on Luke Ayling.
I think you lose when he is in that, because he's a capable player there. We've seen him play at centre back and fill in before, but that's not his strength, and you lose a lot because of his dynamism going forward. I think, wasn't he the top or second only to Messi in carried forward yards in the top 5 leagues last season?
Yeah,
take that out of his game, and you've taken away a lot of what is good about Luke Ayling on the pitch for us.
Agreed.
So it felt like he struggled. It was a tough afternoon for him, and I'd go with same score.
6, cool. You're happy with a 6 and Smarty?
Yeah, happy with a 6, mate.
Cool.
Definitely.
Moving forward, then we'll move into Calvin. I thought he was quite good today. I think we were a lot better with him in the team. That even unfit, probably not unfit's probably not a fair reflection, but probably not as fit as we've seen him. I still think he was a better option than Koch was last week. And he offered us far more going forward and certainly defensively as well. What would you say, Smarty, in terms of scoring Calvin today out of 10?
I'd like to score him quite highly, actually. I think he did really well. He absolutely bullied Richarlison. In fact, he bullied most of their team, to be quite honest. It were back to his best. And it just shows you how much we do miss him whenever he's not there. I'd give Calvin at least a 7.5, maybe an 8 today. I thought he played very, very well.
I thought it was really important. I'd go 7.5 at least. I thought it was really important, although he did seem a little bit leggy towards the end of the first half and towards the end of the game as well. Happy with that, Matt? Have you got anything more or less to say about Calvin today?
I think I probably disagree with back to his best. I don't think he was at his best, but I think he's so crucial to the way that we play the game that you have to play him. If you can get him on the pitch, you do. You know, there were a few times he brought the ball out of the sky and just read where the ball was going to be, and again got his body in the way. He was physical. He did bully their players out of their positions regularly in the game. I don't think it was quite the Calvin that we enjoy seeing, but that'll come in time. That's probably just match sharpness and getting back up to speed. He's been playing for Southgate, you know. He's not been playing for Bielsa. It's a bit different. So yeah, it might just be a case of that. He did look a little leggy towards the end of the halves, as you said. So yeah, I don't think he was quite back at his best, but he was still one of our better performers, and that's how important he is. We're just used to him being at such a high level of capability that any time that wavers at all, it's immediately obvious.
But
I wouldn't expect it as well, don't we?
Absolutely, yeah. But he's built that up, hasn't he? You know, we know how good he is. So when he's not truly at the pinnacle of where he can be, it then becomes obvious because we just expect so much of him now because of the capabilities he's got. Having said all of that, I'm at 7.5, 8. I wouldn't be dissatisfied with that. It's just we're used to seeing 8.5, 9 from him. That's all.
Yeah. Well, what we're going with then between us? Are we going 7.5 or 8? What are you saying, Matt?
Go 7.5.
7.5.
All right, wicked. We'll go with that. Right then, we'll move over to some the more attacking side of the Leeds team today. We'll start with Jack Harrison. Obviously, his home debut as a full Leeds United player and Leeds own player.
3 years later.
3 years later. Didn't really do much wrong. I thought it was exciting. I know you touched upon this earlier, didn't you, Smarty? He sort of drew a lot of defensive attention to him every time he got the ball at his feet. I don't think we could probably score him any less than Calvin today. I thought it was really quite good. I'm going to go for a 7.5 just because of his how he brings that ball down. I mean, Calvin sprayed it out to him a couple of times today, and his first touch, I'd arguably say he's got one of the best first touches I've ever seen at Leeds. I don't think there's certainly nobody there now. Rafinha possibly, but he's sort of we'll come on to Rafinha. But for Calvin's first touch to bring some of those balls down, it's so difficult to do as a footballer, and unless you've got it, you just can't. So Jack Harrison, I'm going to give him an 8 today. What do you think? What you got anything else? What do you think about that, Matt? Do you think an 8's a fair?
Did you just give him a 7.5?
Why?
Yeah, I think
What? Didn't you start off saying you're giving him a 7.5 and then you said 8? Have you talked yourself up to an 8?
Similar to Calvin, didn't you?
I said similar to Calvin, but I thought it was a bit better than Phillips today. If I did say 7.5 going to an 8, I talked myself into it by saying how good his first touch is. And
fair enough. Do you know, obviously completely different players, but his touch reminds me of Viduka.
Yeah,
because he had that. I mean, very different players. Viduka looked lazy where Harrison really doesn't.
Harrison, to be fair.
Yeah. But we know how fantastic his feet were, and how well he shifted the ball and stuff. And they are different players. But his first touch, pillow feet, he is that's one of the main strengths he's got, and that's such an outlet for us. It's a really important asset that he's got for us. I thought he played really well. The one thing I would say is that although some of the balls in that he were putting in looked good, there were nobody getting on him, and it's kind of do you want to criticise the crosser or the person in the middle for that? Because the balls in didn't look like there were bad balls in. It's just that there weren't anybody there getting on them.
Just to sort of expand on that, I think crossing the ball in isn't our game. Getting wide and putting crosses in, because we only have Patrick Bamford as a target, pretty much as a general rule. We only have Paddy Bamford as a target, and up against 2 defenders, central defenders, sometimes 3, plus a defensive midfielder quite a lot of the time. That's not how we're going to score the majority of our goals, unless there's a defensive mistake, which crosses often lead to. But yeah, I don't think you can hold that against Harrison. I think we were critical of him probably in his first 2 seasons with us because of his poor final ball. That's improved now. He's getting him into the dangerous areas. Now it's up to the more attacking players in Bamford and Rodrigo when he's playing to actually put themselves about and actually be on the end of something like that.
We're just so used to seeing him cut back, aren't we? Get to the byline line. How many times have we scored from getting into that tight angle and then cutting back and dinging one in from inside the box or whatever?
Look at Gilly's face. Look at Gilly's face. He's paused.
Hello. But yeah, like you said before, he's just decided to completely pause. You don't see many crossers getting. I mean, you do. I mean, it's rare. I mean, you look back. The one that really sticks out probably most in my mind is Roof scoring in first leg at semi-finals. That cross, I think that was Harrison won it. Harrison swung one in and actually, But yeah, we don't score a lot of goals from crosses. So sometimes
we haven't got a Roof, we haven't got a Chris, we've got Paddy Bamford. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, and he is a great attacking option. He's probably above average in the air, but do
you see him rising above another player and dinking one in? Yeah, if they're all stood still, but as an aggressive sort of forward motion, you don't see Paddy getting his head on it. A lot of them, do you?
No,
9 times out of 10 they'll score from when it's pulled back off his back now, though.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. So, what score are you going to give Harrison, Smarty?
I'll agree with an 8. I think 8's a fair score for Harrison.
Anything against that before we move on?
No, not at all.
Wicked. All right, so we've got Jack Harrison as an 8 and leading probably the best performance so far out of the rest of the squad. We're quite happy with that till we move on.
Yep.
Right, then we'll move more centrally again then, and who played sort of more of the sort of attacking central midfielder today, which I think is probably his best position. Matthias Klick. I thought today he was brilliant. I think he took his goal really well. He was back to his best, and he silenced, including myself on last week's podcast, who said if we signed Conor Gallagher, that Klick would be dropped. I take that right back because I think Klick was arguably our best player today.
Really?
I think people fundamentally people forget how good that Klick is, and when he is good, he's absolutely fantastic. And I think he plays better when he's got a crowd behind him as well. I think he kind of buzzes off that. He certainly seems to do anyway. I mean, we did see him drop off a fair bit last season, mainly after the start of the Christmas period. He started getting a bit quiet, whether he were playing with an injury, I don't think that's...
He had played 1,000 consecutive games.
But Yeah, but I do think he plays better with a crowd behind him. He kind of buzzes off it, and I think he would. But yeah, fantastic today. Back to his best, I think today, definitely.
Is there any news on his injury?
No, I've not seen
anything. I haven't seen anything. Smarty, what score would you give Click today then?
8.
Yeah, equally.
It's hard to distinguish between, like you say, Harrison. I don't want to say we're better than Harrison. I'd say definitely equals an 8.
Yeah, Gilly, what you got to say about Matthews?
So we've remarked on him before, and we've spoken about, if you watch the game, you don't see him, and if you watch him, you see the game. I think it's been said a few times, and he's so adept at finding space. When the ball's played into him, he's tidy, he's neat with it, and he can pick a pass. But he's so good at finding space. There were a few times when he just popped up with nobody anywhere near him, and you're thinking somebody's been assigned to actually manage you. Where are they, and how have you lost them? How have you managed that? And he's been 15, 20 yards of space, and I think that's another important aspect of our dynamism going forward is him being able to find those pockets of space, being able to get on the ball and be able to pick those passes. I thought he played really well. I wouldn't have said that he was my highest score on the pitch for us today, but he's up there. So I'd be happy with an 8.
Yeah, I'll go with 8. Although I thought he was probably man of the match, I would probably have said 8.5. I'd be happy to agree with you guys though. And yeah, we'll go with an 8 then. Okay, moving on to arguably the other contender for the man of the match, other than who I thought was Click, Raf. Obviously, we got our first taste, or you guys got your first taste of actually seeing him in the flesh at home at Ellen Road today. Was it as good as everyone's making out? Was his performance as good as everyone's making out online? For me, absolutely. Gilly?
I think so. He's the one. He's my man of the match. For me, it was an 8.5. I thought that the buzz and the excitement when he gets on the ball, and I think he's another one, as Smarty's just said about Click, he's another one. And I've said before that I was looking forward to seeing him with the crowd at Ellen Road and just seeing how that affects him. I think that's another one. He's another one that'll take him to a next level. I already rate him. I think he's a fantastic player, but being able to get the Ellen Road crowd behind him, I think that'll really elevate him and it'll push him forward. I thought he was really, really good today. Unplayable at times. They couldn't get near him, and the amount of times he were up against a good defence, a solid defence that are very capable, and at times it looked like they just couldn't get anywhere near him. So yeah, my man at match, 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that doesn't really get mentioned about Rafinha enough is how hard he works in defence when you watch him. Yeah. He never, if he loses that ball, he works tirelessly to try and win it back.
He's angry, isn't he, that somebody's taking it off him. He gets mad at himself.
Yeah, he almost feels like he's done his team an injustice and has to win that ball back to make amends. So yeah, I mean, I'd completely agree with an 8.5. Smarty, what have you got to say about seeing Rafinha live in the flesh at home at Ellen Road?
It was great. It really was. It was fantastic. I mean, we've seen him on TV, but to actually watch him and see him do his thing, like I say, like Gilly says, he was up against a very good defence, Everton, a very, very good defensively, and he just took piss out of them. At times it was just laughable how easy he went past people and stuff. So,
have you got anybody comparable to him who you think actually? That same feeling. I've got one person in mind that I
don't want to say it.
Yeah, exactly that. It almost gives you that same feeling that there's something going to happen every time they get the ball.
I was trying to think of somebody that wasn't him.
Yeah. I mean, Gradle did get forward and he did go past people and stuff like that. It was a good match, really. But
that was in League One and the Championship.
He was League One, yeah.
That other guy, he must not be named Judas Bastard. Him.
Yeah. And I almost get the same heart skips a beat every time he gets the ball when in an attacking position because you think something might happen here. It's almost like you expect it to happen because he brings that much. He brings that much to the team, and I think until we signed him, we were, we had Diego. Not Diego. We had Helder Costa playing out there, who did a job for us. But since we've signed him, he's been probably the best signing I would arguably say the best signing since Alter and Rads.
I find that hard to argue.
Yeah. So we're going to go with
especially for the value of it.
Yeah. In terms of value and the cost and everything. Finally, then, I don't really want to score the substitutes, but we'll do Paddy Bamford, and we'll just have a bit of a chat about the two subs.
Have we done Dallas?
We haven't done Dallas.
Who?
Stuart.
Oh, sorry, I've missed Dallas. I do apologise.
I thought I'd missed him when I dropped off.
No,
Stuart fucking Dallas.
My mistake.
Over the hill anyway, ain't he?
I tell you what, I wouldn't have forgot it if I had his name tattooed on my head, would I?
No, you wouldn't, mate.
Consistent, probably played 2 or 3 different positions today, but equally consistent in all of them. Hard to argue past a 7.5 for me. I don't know if any of you two's got anything else to say.
Mr. Consecutive, innit?
Mr. Consecutive. He's a utensil. He's a utensil
player.
He's a utensil player. No, he's fantastic. He's definitely probably my favourite player. He's Dallas. I love the guy to bits. He just plays so well, and he is so consistent. He's just fantastic. So
again, my only concern there is he looked like he might have been carrying a bit of a knock out of the game. So that'd be my only concern. Is he still fit? There were a couple of times early on in the second half, just after they'd scored, when the crowd area around me, the game had gone a bit flat. We weren't really pressing them in the way that we had done, and we weren't getting on the ball in the way that we had done, just for a short period. And there were a couple of times the ball was played through, and you could feel the tension in the crowd. And then it was, oh, it's all right, it's Stewie D, he'll be fine. And it was.
Happy with the 7.5.
Yeah.
And then
I think so.
Last but not leastly, then we'll go on to Paddy Bamford. Did everything today but score. I think he worked his ass off. He terrorised both the central defenders at times, but more obviously me, and he got inside his head. I think they got inside both each other's heads at points today. But yeah, I thought he had a good game. You know, he great assist for the click goal as well. How are you scoring that, Matt? Anything that I didn't notice from Paddy Bamford today?
There were a few times when it kind of, to me, it felt like it wasn't really going his way. He always puts the work in. That can never be levelled as a criticism at him, and we expect that from him because he always does it. He did. He worked really, really hard. And as you say, it was a really good assist. It looked good on the ball. It laid it off well. I felt sometimes he just kind of made the wrong run. So he was working hard. He was working in defence. He was pulling him around. But as the ball were being played into him, he went one way and the ball went the other. But the striker's got to make the run and the midfielder's got to pick him out. So I don't level all of that at him either. Some of that's got to come from the person playing the ball as well. So there were passages when it felt like he was just a bit unlucky. Equally, I think that when he were up against the defence, he did pull him around all over, but there were just occasions when he seemed to get pushed out of play a bit. So overall, a decent game. I don't think he pulled up any trees. In as much as, again, we kind of expect a bit more from him. He set a good standard last season, and we're looking for him to push on, especially now on a brand new 5-year deal or whatever it was that we offered him recently. But yeah, I still rate him. I like him as a player. I think he's a good player. I think he's important for us. I think a 6 is a bit harsh. I'd go a bit higher than that. I think I'd probably go 7.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think he was back to his. I think he had more opportunity to run in behind than he did against Scum last week, and I think that really frustrated him last week that he didn't get much opportunity to do that. He got quite a lot of. You could see where he wanted the ball today. The passes were just a little bit wayward or a little bit too strong. And obviously he got that nice assist for Click as well. So yeah, I think I'd probably agree on a 7. So anything else? Are you happy with 7?
Yeah, fairly happy with him. He wanted his best performance. That is busy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I can't disagree with.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Dad's work's never done.
Yeah, it never ends. So yeah, just to quickly talk about the two subs who came on. There was only two that came on, weren't there? It was just Philpo went off for Shaq. Yeah, and then I think we saw the introduction of
Roberts.
Roberts for Click. Yeah, Roberts for Click. Roberts, as I said, he only got half an hour, but he looked to add a different dimension. You know, I thought, as we said earlier on, he always looks dangerous with the ball at his feet, but he almost goes that one step too far, so he can't get out of trouble. I think he played a lot better today. He was a little bit more patient, and he let the ball go a little bit earlier. And I thought he did look at times an attacking threat. Put a good challenge in their half, deep in their half as well, to win the ball a couple of times, I think. I'm not going to ask you to score him, but how did you think of how did you score? Well, not score. How did you see Roberts' performance?
I thought he added. Sorry, go on, Smarty.
You what?
Oh, you go ahead,
to me. So I only have a question. You go, mate.
Oh, I know it is. I thought he added a good energy. I mentioned before that into the second half we'd gone a little flat, so we'd kind of got back on top just as he were coming on the pitch. But he added some dynamism. He added some good energy. He showed some good touches. He does have a tendency to overplay. I think that is something that, with experience, he'll learn to manage. And with a bit more confidence and maybe a bit more of a run in the side, maybe he won't have that feel that necessity to try and prove himself. But yeah, I thought he did all right. Yeah, like I said before, he didn't do himself any harm, I don't think.
He's almost made, because of some average performances last season, and I think he got quite a lot of playing time towards the end of last season when either Rodrigo or Bamford were out, and he obviously didn't capitulate. Is that the word? Would you take advantage of something?
Capitalize.
What's capitulate mean?
Capitulate's not a word.
I'd be shit at Scrabble, wouldn't I? Didn't capitalise on those opportunities, I don't think, last season, when he almost was a shoo-in for a name on the team sheet. Now he's not. He almost looks like a better attacking threat. And those people who, we've all seen it on Twitter, and we've probably all been guilty of it as well. Fucking hell, Tyler Roberts, this is our only option. That sort of thing. But I think he did offer something extra today, and I know I'm not going to hold that against him. And he looks like he might be a little bit more important for us this season, hopefully.
How old is he?
He's only young. He's only
22, 23 now.
Yeah. He's a young lad still, isn't he? He's got plenty of time to learn and still plenty of time to develop his skills.
You think he's been playing for us now for 2 or 3? Has he been with us 3 seasons now? Is this his third or his second? Anyway,
he's 22. He'll be 23 in January.
So he's been sort of thrown in and been playing for Leeds United first team since he was 19, 20 years old now. So I think we've got to give him a little bit more of a chance. I think he's probably the best word for it. But Shackleton, again, didn't really put a foot wrong. I thought he was quite good when he came on. Looked energetic, as he always does. Spriteful. Again, good option off the bench. It was nice to see so many youngsters on our bench today as well. Lads that have been playing for the 23s. Obviously, we had Somerville on there. Who else did we have on the bench?
I didn't see it.
Couldn't tell you.
The signal in Ellen Road has not been improved in the time we've been away.
It seemed to work all right for Jay. Clarkson, Drama, Cresswell, Forshaw back on the bench as well today.
No Greenwood.
Shackleton, no Greenwood. Rodrigo, Somerville, Costa, Forshaw.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, quite a mixture of experience and youth there. All in all, though, good point. I think we can all be happy with that.
Very well deserved point.
Yeah. Just before we sort of start closing up and stuff, I think it might be a good opportunity now just to have a chat, because I don't know what's happening with the pod. I think we're probably going to do the pod this week after after the game on Tuesday, so it'll likely be Wednesday this week for Crewe. So how do you see Bielsa approaching the Cup this year, especially seeing as we had relatively early exits last season when he mixed the team up quite dramatically? Do you think he'll still use the same ethos and we'll go down a experience mixed with youth?
Yeah,
I think
so.
he'll do exactly the same.
He doesn't change for anything, does he?
Yeah. So yeah, I think those names that you've just reeled off there from the subs bench, I think we'll probably see most of those starting.
Yeah,
absolutely. Second that. He's not going to change his ethos. He's not going to change it. He doesn't change in Premier League. He doesn't change anything else. So why would he? Look at playing a different team or playing. It's like him saying, "Oh, I'm going to completely change my style of play." It ain't going to happen. So yeah, we're going to play like Gilly says. The fringe players will make a start with a couple of senior, more established players in probably in substitutions.
Yeah, so. And how do you think? How do you see? I mean, obviously, we should have enough class there, so even with that bench starting to sort of get past Crewe. But we obviously all know what's happened previously when we've sort of overlooked opposition. Do you have anything you'd like to add on how you see the game? I mean, I'm not going to make a prediction because last time,
probably not.
I mean, obviously, yeah, we don't count them for cup games anyway. But yeah, I'd just like to see all these players that have been setting the world alight in the 23s, your Somervilles and Greenwood, potentially Geldar, and a couple of others get a bit of game time, and also take advantage of that, and actually, Roberts potentially as well, and have a real good game and cause Bielsa a bit of a selection headache coming for the future games. Obviously, I know we've got some relatively big games coming up soon. Our next game at Ellen Road, I believe, after Crewe is Liverpool, isn't it?
Liverpool, yeah.
And we got Burnley away first.
We've got Burnley away before that, yeah.
Next home game's Liverpool. I think we Crewe. I think all I would hope that he would do is identify if a change needs to be made and to actually act on it rather than just let it ride and hope it fixes itself. Because 9 times out of 10, whenever we do seem to lose, it's usually lost within, I don't know, first, maybe early on second half. It's gone to rat shit. They've set in. He's bringing on experienced players to try and turn it around, and at that point he's probably done and dusted. We've seen it so many times. So I just hope that if it does going wrong, that he will act upon it. And
does going wrong. You're about as good as Scrabble at me.
But I don't make up words.
You just make up sentences that don't make sense.
Well, I've just had a quick look at how they got on today, and they lost at home to Accrington. Accrington scored in 70. It was only 1-0, but they had a man. Crewe had a man sent off in 89th minute, but spent most of the game 1-0 down.
Right. I think I have a funny feeling come Tuesday. I think Phillips plays for game time.
Maybe.
And because obviously it's for first one.
I don't.
You don't think Phillips plays?
No, I think Forshaw might.
Mate,
I hope so.
I think he might want to try him in there and just try and do that next level, because he's looked good in under 23s, but you never know if he's going to be right for first team until you actually give him a go at first team. So this might be an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, good shout. Although I think Phillips, it'd be more important for Phillips to get the game time on the current position, but we'll see. I mean, obviously Bielsa will pick what the best team available to him, with obviously Burnley and Liverpool in mind. So yeah, all in all, we're all relatively happy with a point, and we're all quite set on Rafinha being man of the match.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay with that.
Good stuff. So in terms of the pod, what we got coming up, Matt, we've obviously got the main pod coming up next week, probably likely on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think Wednesday. And we'll also, now that we've had 2 games, we'll also be having a Jimmy the Ref conversation as well. So I'll be interested on his take on not just the penalty that was given, but potentially the penalty that wasn't. There's a lot of commentary that I have seen while I was trying to find the video to have a quick look at it back, which I didn't manage to do. But a lot of pundits and so on were saying they felt that it was a soft penalty, but it was a penalty. But actually, if you're giving that, then you have to give the other. So I'll be interested to hear his take on that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my take on it, seeing it back, was it would have been pretty soft for Mina's penalty to be given, but I felt it still deserved a look because because of the contact, and I think Mina was quite reckless in his defending, whereas Cooper's was a penalty, albeit soft, and they do a lot of grabbing in the area, and that's just the way of the world. Footballers do that. You see it from every corner and every free kick, and you see it in the middle of the pitch and everywhere else. But ultimately, it was a penalty. So yeah, we've got that coming up. We've probably got. I wonder if we'll have a special stats episode as well prior to Tuesday, hopefully. We've got we've got a couple of interviews lined up as well that I know Smarty's been working on. That I think going to be hosted by Carl and Stats as well, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, stay tuned. Don't forget to share the video with everybody, all your mates and people who probably can't stand one of us online. But yeah, it's been a pleasure.
You, mate. Everyone hates you.
If it's not me, it's Gilly.
If not you, it's Jay.
Dick of the day goes to Jay.
Yes, officially dickhead of the week.